Let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get a community all fired up when you first launch? It's like the excitement is through the roof. People are posting, sharing wins, celebrating with badges flying around, virtual high fives happening left and right, and it feels awesome, right? But here's the thing. What happens after that initial excitement dies down? That's where the real challenge kicks in. If you're not careful, what was once a buzzing community can slowly start to feel like a ghost town. We've all seen it. People stop posting, engagement dips, and you're left wondering where all that energy went. Well, fear not, friends. In today's episode, we're diving into how to keep your community thriving long term. We're not just talking about engagement while your students are working through the course, but how to keep them around, contributing, and excited even after they've completed that final module. Because here's the truth, your community isn't just a support tool for your course. It's a space where people should want to stick around and keep coming back to long after the learning is over. Ready to learn how to go from short-term hype to long-term retention? Let's get into it. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Community Lab, where passion intertwines with purpose and profit. We're not merely weaving tales of hobbies becoming side gigs here. We're about crafting endeavors that deeply resonate and reward. Whether you're creating courses, guiding lives, or kickstarting a podcast journey, let's elevate together from being zealous dreamers to standout community leaders. Explore the balance between passion and profitability as we unwrap the tools and tactics we use to create, maintain, and grow our own profitable community. So, what's our pledge to you? To guide you from mere daydreaming to creating a vision that's both successful and meaningful, fostering authentic ties in a close-knit community. If you're fueled by passion, eyeing a new prosperous path, and curious about making community a pillar of your success, the Community Lab awaits. Join us and let's turn those visions into profitable ventures. Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Community Lab podcast. I'm your host, Rachel. Last week, we dove into how to build a community around your course and the benefits that come with it. But here's the thing. Getting a community started is just the beginning. Today, we're going to take it a step further and talk about what it takes to keep that community thriving over time. Because the real challenge isn't just about getting people excited at the start. It's about maintaining that excitement, keeping them engaged, and creating a space they'll want to return to again and again. Let's start by breaking down a common misconception. Engagement is not the end game. Sure, it's important to keep your students involved, asking questions, and participating in discussions when they first join the course. But if that's where your focus stops, you're missing out on a much bigger opportunity. Here's the reality. Engagement is just the first step. It's like the spark that lights the fire. But keeping that fire burning requires something more. If you want your community to thrive for the long haul, you have to think beyond the initial excitement and consider how to foster retention. All right, let's take it to some of the key things to keep in mind when it comes to keeping your course community thriving. First up, let's talk about what I like to call the engagement trap. So many course creators fall into this trap of thinking, if my community is active during the course, I've made it. And sure, Having high engagement during the course is awesome. But here's the catch: if you don't have a strategy for what happens after the course ends, you risk losing that momentum. Without a plan to keep people engaged beyond the course, that lively community can quickly fizzle out. And this leads us to why retention matters. When people stay in your community beyond the course, they're not just sticking around, they're becoming advocates for your brand. They're the ones who are going to sign up for your future programs, recommend you to others, and even help onboard new members. Long term community members are the backbone of your business because they create the cycle of growth and loyalty. Lastly, let's talk about the community life cycle. Think of your community as a living, breathing organism. It's not static, it's always evolving. It has different stages, and your job is to nurture it through each of those stages. From that initial burst of excitement when people first join, to the ongoing relationships and deeper connections that keep people coming back. Just like any relationship, it takes time and effort to cultivate. But when done right, it leads to long lasting engagement. So, how do you move from short term engagement to long term retention? That's what we're going to dive into next. But first, let's talk about what retention actually looks like in a thriving community. Retention goes beyond just keeping people around, it's about creating a community they want to stay in. Retention means your members are still active, still engaging with each other, still showing up for events and discussions long after they finished your course. Here are a few things to keep in mind when thinking about retention. First, let's talk about ongoing value. Your community can't just end when the course does. It needs to continue offering value. Otherwise, people will drift away. This could mean offering advanced content for those who've completed the course, hosting expert Q&A sessions, or providing bonus resources. The goal here is to give your members a reason to stay, something that keeps them coming back for more. Next up, we have building connections. One of the strongest retention drivers is the relationship your members build with each other. When members feel genuine connections, they won't want to leave. This is where small group discussions, accountability partnerships, or even off topic conversation spaces can be a game changer. When your community becomes a place where people feel like they belong and have strong connections, they'll stick around. Then there's post course engagement. Your community shouldn't feel like it's only relevant during the course. Offer ongoing opportunities for learning and interaction, such as monthly live events, workshops, or even collaborative projects. These activities keep your members engaged long after they've completed the course materials. The idea is to make your community feel like an extension of their learning journey, not just a temporary step along the way. Finally, we have ownership. People are much more likely to stay and contribute if they feel like they have a stake in the community. Empower your members by giving them leadership opportunities. This could be as simple as letting them lead a discussion, host a live event, or even run a challenge. When your members feel like they're part of the fabric of the community, they'll be more invested and committed to its long term success. Now, retention doesn't just happen on its own, it requires thoughtful planning and consistent effort. But here's the good news: when done right, it pays off in spades. A thriving, long term community isn't just about engagement while the course is running. It's about creating a space that continues to provide value and connection long after the coursework is done. Okay, friends, let's take a brief pause here and learn a little bit about my go to community building tool, Circle. I'm sure you've already heard me mention a time or two how much I love Circle for building my online community. If you're a fellow podcast host or digital creator looking to elevate your online community, look no further because Circle is endgame. It revolutionizes the way you connect and engage with your audience. Circle offers an intuitive platform that brings together your content, conversations, and community all in one place. It's your one-stop shop for building a vibrant, interactive community that's uniquely yours. Whether you're a podcast host, course creator, or coach, Circle empowers you to create a space that's as dynamic and engaging as your content. Customized to your heart's content, from private spaces to integrative live streams, making your community both exclusive and inclusive. Transform your audience into a thriving community with Circle. Watch your engagement soar, your relationships deepen, and your brand grow. It's more than a platform. It's a community builder's dream. So, are you ready to bring your community together? Visit circle.so or the link in the show notes and start your free trial today. All right. We've talked about why retention matters and what it looks like in a thriving community. Now, let's get into the how. Here is a step-by-step strategy to keep your community thriving long-term, even after the initial course excitement has faded. The first step is having a clear post-course content plan. Just because your students finish the course doesn't mean the learning or engagement has to stop there. You want to plan ongoing content that keeps them coming back. This could be monthly workshops, expert Q&A sessions, or even exclusive content drops that are only available to community members. Think of this like creating bonus materials that continue to provide value even after the official coursework is done. It's the perfect way to keep the momentum going and gives your members a real reason to log in and stay engaged. Step 2. Focus on deepening the connections within your community. Relationships are one of the biggest reasons people stick around. Encourage peer-to-peer interaction by creating small group discussions or pairing members up with accountability partners. You can even set up informal chats or spaces where members can connect beyond just the course materials. When people start building real, meaningful connections, your community becomes more than just a place to learn. It becomes a place they want to be because of the relationships they formed. This sense of belonging is a huge driver for long-term retention. Step 3. After your course ends, don't let things get stagnant. Introduce new challenges or collaborative projects that allow your members to apply what they've learned. You could run something like a 30-day challenge where members work towards a specific goal tied to your course content. Or you can set up group projects that encourage collaboration and deeper learning. The key is to keep things fresh and fun. When members are working together on exciting new goals, they'll stay engaged, motivated, and connected to the community. Finally, the more ownership your members feel, the more likely they are to stick around. Empower them by giving them leadership opportunities. Let them host discussions, moderate small groups, or even run events. When members feel like they have a role in shaping the community, they'll naturally become more invested in its success. Giving your members a stake in the community helps them feel like they're part of something bigger, and it boosts their sense of responsibility for keeping the community active and thriving long term. All right, friends, let's wrap things up for this week. Today, we talked about how to keep your community thriving long term. And here's the bottom line: engagement is great, but retention is the key to creating a community that lasts. Your goal should be to build a space where people want to stay, where they'll find value, building connections, and feeling empowered to contribute. All right, let's do a quick recap of the key retention strategies we covered today to keep your community thriving long term. First, make sure you have a post course content plan that continues to offer value after the course ends. This could be through workshops, Q&As, or exclusive content that keeps people engaged. Second, foster deep connections between your members. Remember, relationships are the glue that hold your community together. When people build meaningful connections, they're more likely to stick around. Next, introduce new challenges and projects. Keep things fresh and exciting by giving members new ways to apply what they've learned and collaborate with each other. And finally, empower your members by giving them ownership. When people feel like they have a stake in the community, whether it's leading discussions or hosting events, they're more invested and more likely to stay for the long haul. Okay, friends, thanks so much for joining me on this episode of the Community Lab. If you're ready to take your community to the next level and keep it thriving, head over to Circle to start building the kind of long term community your students will want to stay in. And I'll be here next time with more tips and strategies to help you turn your passion into a thriving, connected community. Until then, keep building, keep growing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.